lost on the dusty air. A finger on the trigger and a sly little grin. A mystery that's tangled in the towns of sin. The wild bunch whispers as the saloon doors swing. The yellow rose of Texas, she makes the gold rain. From Boudoirs to Brothels, it's always the same. The money and the power play a dangerous game. With a pistol in her garter and a plan in her mind, she's the queen of the West, leaving dust trails behind.
Country diggers, welcome to the Speakeasy. Today we're going into Boudoirs and Brothels, the intimate world of Wild West women by Michael Rutter, and we'll be talking about Molly be damned. All right. Okay, I do want to say that I'm rating this series PG. Parental guidance suggested, because some material may be inappropriate for children, younger children. Okay, so it's rated PG. All right, Molly be damned. Maggie Hall was a good Catholic girl, even though she was a whore. Maggie be damned was a good lady. If there's a hint of truth in the legends and stories that surround her. Most mythologies about whores, hearts of gold, are just stories. Some of Molly's acts of kindness, however, are verifiable. It seems she was a kind, giving woman. But like so many Western characters, occasionally the legend overshadows the real person. And fact and fiction get twisted. Molly was well liked by the community, even by some of the housewives. Kind, yes, but Molly was also a shrewd businesswoman who knew how to hang on to her money. She was also a clever marketer, as Molly and her infamous bathtub adventures prove. A miner in the 1880s observed that Molly had an uncommonly ravishing personality. Her face gave no evidence of her disposition. Her clothes no hint of her profession. Molly had an atmosphere of refinement and culture. She was not one of the rougher women of the settlements, but rather possessed some ladylike traits. Maggie Hall was born to a Protestant father and a Roman Catholic mother on December 26, 1853 in Dublin, Ireland. Maggie grew into a beautiful young girl, and her parents doted on her. She was well educated and familiar with the classics. She could quote Shakespeare, Dante, and Milton verbatim, among other poets. She also knew her Bible. She was a popular girl who made friends easily and liked to laugh. She had thick blonde hair and deep blue eyes. As she matured, Maggie was nearly 5 feet 6 inches tall with a gorgeous figure. She attracted many of the local boys, some with marriage proposals. Maggie, however, had a wanderlust, and she felt confined in Ireland. Like the wild geese, she longed for new places, and Ireland could not hold her. She wanted to go to the United States, where she felt she would have greater opportunities. When she was 20 years old, she boarded a ship alone for New York City to seek her fortune. It was a tearful parting. Her parents begged her not to leave. But Maggie was anything if not strong-willed. It would be the last time the Halls would see their daughter. Maggie was amazed at how large New York was. She had enough money put away so she could live for a while, but she found little opportunity in the big city, especially if one was Irish. When her money ran out, she took a job in a drinking establishment as a barmaid. She quickly found it necessary to educate her customers. All she was selling was drinks. Her cheerful manner and her happy personality made Molly a hit with the customers, as well as with management. She was a devout Catholic who went to Mass and confession frequently. She worked as a barmaid for more than a year, but one cold winter afternoon, her life would change, and there would be no coming back. The Irish lass who had taken so many men's hearts fell in love at first sight. She could have almost any man, but she chose this one. He was well-dressed, good-looking, and had charming manners. His name was Burden. We don't know his first name. And he was the son of a wealthy family. After their third meeting, he proposed marriage. Maggie insisted that they be married in the Catholic Church, but he insisted that they get married right away. Disappointed but so in love, she conceded. Burden woke up a city official he knew who promptly married the couple. He took Maggie back to his luxurious apartment for their honeymoon. Maggie had never seen such opulence. It did surprise her, though, when her new husband told her that she would need to change her name. Maggie was all too common and Irish and would not do for his wife. Instead, he told her that the name he had chosen for her was Molly. He also told his new bride that they would need to keep their marriage a secret. His parents were very proper and would never allow their son to marry an Irish woman, let alone a barmaid. Burden explained that he received a generous allowance from his family, but he would risk losing their financial support if they discovered he had married beneath himself. Yeah, I could say a few things about that man. But for several months, they lived in luxury. But Burden's parents eventually found out, and he was cut off financially. The young couple moved from place to place, never paying their bills. Finally, one day, with his head on Molly's lap, he confessed that he was deeply in debt and was in danger of being beaten, maybe killed. Not only did he owe a number of apartment houses for past rent and was spending money he did not have, he was also a gambler, a poor one, who owed great sums to friends and associates. He feared for his well-being if he didn't pay his gambling debts soon. He could see no way out except one. He told Molly that she was a beautiful and desirable woman and that he loved her. His friends and associates, he commented, had all noticed her. How could they not? He blatantly suggested that if she would sleep with one of his friends, it would relieve a very pressing debt. Molly had a temper and was understandably insulted by such an indecent proposal. Burden persisted and begged, and finally Molly reluctantly consented to sleeping with her husband's friends. She felt cheap and tawdry, but she did it because she loved him. Molly was a moral woman, a practicing Catholic, and she was certain she had committed a serious sin, in love or not. However, it didn't stop. Burden's debts were great, and over time he bought a brought a string of men to sleep with his wife. You think he was named appropriately? Burden? Yeah, he would be considered a burden. Get rid of him. Molly was incensed and felt used. With a haunting conscience, she crept to confession and told the priest about what she had done. The priest told her that she must stop her immoral behavior immediately, or her soul would be in grave peril. That night she explained this to her husband, but he seemed indifferent to her pleas. He continued to prostitute his lovely bride to his associates to pay his debts. Later, burdened with guilt, she returned to the confessional. To her horror, the priest excommunicated her from the Catholic Church. For a deeply religious girl, this was the cruelest blow of all. She felt she had been betrayed by the two things she loved most. Certain that she was damned forever and would be sent to hell, Molly felt she had nothing to lose. She continued her sordid life, but she noticed that her love for her husband was fading. Yeah, that's what happens when you betray somebody you profess to love like that. And she grew to despise him. He used her in a malicious way. She decided to leave him and seek her fortune in the West. Good for her. Molly saved money until she had a bankroll, and then she left. She was 24 years old, and for the first time in her life, she would work for herself. She visited or worked in several large cities, Chicago and San Francisco among them, and wandered over a good part of the West. She liked to travel. Her main interest and speciality, though, was boomtowns, because a lot of money could be made there. She was good at her job, and she charged outrageous prices for her services. Okay, she could have did anything other than that. Why did she do that? I guess it's not as easy as it sounds with, back then anyway. When she was nearly 30 years old and well seasoned in her trade, she heard of a huge strike in northern Idaho near, I don't know this word, Cordiallen, COEURD-ALENE, Coeur d'Alene, I guess. Molly decided to travel to a town called Murray and set up business. The Molly Be Damned legend has both Calamity Jane and Molly leaving for Deadwood at the same time, both bound for Murray and the gold fields. When Calamity saw Molly, as the story goes, she got off at the next station and headed back to Dakota Territory. Molly was so beautiful, Calamity claimed, she herself would get very little business in Idaho. But the legend of her travels into the gold fields doesn't stop here. While her exploits seem non-parallel, there is a core of truth in the next Molly story. It's the frills we question. In 1884, she rode the train from Deadwood into Montana Territory. The rest of the journey had to be taken either on foot or horseback. Molly, according to folklore, bought a handsome black stallion and a pack animal to carry her wardrobe. She joined a train of eager gold hunters and headed west towards Coeur d'Alene. I don't know how to say that, but anyway, specifically Murray, Idaho. Gold fever had struck the region. and thousands had dreams of wealth. Those with enough money bought a horse. Others walked, carrying or pulling their gear. It was a difficult track, especially for those without a mount. Since winter was threatening in the high country, there was a sense of urgency to pick up the pace. As they went up Thompson Pass, which is nearly 7,000 feet above sea level, a severe blizzard hit as they were crossing the summit. In spite of the blinding weather and night coming on, most of the train decided to make a mad rush to safely down the west side of the pass. Murray was only 7 miles away, but Molly noticed that a mother with a small child had fallen behind in the snow. She noted earlier that neither one was dressed for the cold weather. Rather than seek her own safety, Molly went back and found the pair and led them to a crude shelter she had seen earlier. Dressing the freezing mother and child in her elegant furs, Molly managed to get a fire started, warming the hut against the night. She wanted to make a mad dash for Murray, but she didn't think the two were ready to travel. She told some of the stragglers in the train that she was going to spend the night on the mountain with her new friends. She'd be in Murray in the morning. The townspeople were understandably worried about the woman on the black horse and the mother and her child. Speculation was they had not survived the night. The blizzard was too strong and visibility poor, so no search party was attempted. The next morning, while some of the men were organizing a trip back up Thompson's Pass, a tall woman holding a child rode into town with another woman clinging to her on back of the saddle. She dropped the mother and child, oddly dressed in expensive furs, at a cabin so they could get warm and be fed, insisting they send the bill to her. One legend has the entire town rushing out to meet and congratulate Molly. An Irishman who would become one of her best friends apparently helped her off the horse. He identified himself as Phil O'Rourke. She introduced herself as Molly Burden. Because of her brogue, he thought she said her name was Molly Be Damn. He laughed and the name stuck. From that time forth, she was Molly Be Damn to one and all. She laughed about it and liked her new name, so the legend goes. That's interesting. Some of the men tried to take her luggage to a cabin. However, she insisted that she be taken to cabin number 1. This was a euphemism. It meant she was a prostitute, and she'd stay where prostitutes stayed, not where decent women had lodging. Molly liked this town, which at statehood was bigger than Boise, and she wanted to stay. Did she rescue the two from a bad situation? Very likely. Was it cold and snowing? Probably. Was the horse black? Was there a pack horse? Did the mother and child wear her furs to stay warm? Did she stay all night on the mountain? Did she ask for a prostitute's cabin? Those answers are up for grabs. How much is real and how much has been spun about her death is difficult to How much is real and how much has been spun after her death is difficult to say. She got along with the residents, though, including honest women, and she was well liked. When she fell ill, decent women of the town were said to have sat by her bed. This may have happened, but it's hard to know to what extent. A lot of mythology has been woven in with truth, making her a folk hero. Nevertheless, this kind of treatment for a whore didn't happen very often. If she really rescued a mother and child, it might have wiped away some of her professional taint. She dressed well in expensive clothes. She didn't dress like a whore. This would have helped too. The men liked her, and she was fair and honest. It was said that Molly would stand a hungry man or a family to a meal and had grub staked more than a handful of men. She was also known for her clothing. The women and children of struggling miners. Molly attended a Protestant church since the Catholic Church had excommunicated her. Sorry. Almost done. Another page and a half, I think. Yeah. She was kind, but she wasn't cheap. Just like, what's that? I may be white trash, but I ain't cheap, or whatever. She was kind, but she wasn't cheap. The old stories claim that she charged a large price for her favors. Indeed, she was a very expensive evening and always had been. Some miners worked, according to lore, for half a year to be able to spend a night with her. Eventually, she added girls to her establishment and became a successful madam. Unlike many madams, however, people claimed that Molly was fair and would not tolerate her girls stealing money from a client, no matter how drunk he was. When one of her girls stole the poke of a miner named Lightning, she found the thief and made sure that John got his money back. When Lightning fell ill, reportedly, Molly took food and supplies up to his shack. Molly's specialty, however, was her erotic bathing. She called them clean-up baths, and clean up she did. When word got around that Molly was going to do one of her baths, excitement flared throughout the town. Miners counted their nuggets and gold dust to see if they had enough. This was not something a crusty miner wanted to miss if he could help it or afford it. The rules of the game went something like this. Each man had to put so much gold dust in the tub until the bottom was completely covered. If a man didn't put enough dust in the tub or his pouch ran dry, he'd have to leave. The rest stood around and watched. When Molly figured the bottom of the tub was significantly covered, she'd come out, her hair tucked up, disrobe, and climb into the expensive tub. If a man got really generous and dumped in some more dust, he got to scrub her back. If he got really generous, she'd let him climb into the tub and scrub her back. Over the years, there were variations on the bathtub scenario, but it always included a disrobed Molly and a lot of gold dust. In good weather, this lusty event took place in Paradise Alley, Al Fresno. When she was in the tub, Molly would sing and tell jokes and stories. Molly's business thrived, and she remained good friends with Phil O'Rourke. She donated to civic causes and was respected by those on both sides of the track. In 1886, a tragedy struck Murray. A man rode into town, drank some whiskey, and tumbled over dead. He was quickly diagnosed with smallpox. The town was facing an epidemic. Before long, there were several dozen fatalities, and this from this dreaded disease. Fearing they might be next, the townspeople retreated to their homes to ride out the epidemic. Supposedly there was a doctor in town, but he wasn't much use. No one knew how to fight the infection. According to legend, Molly rallied the town, which had not been proactive in helping the sick. She reminded everyone that people were sick and dying and needed help. With O'Rourke, they cleared out the hotels and boarding houses so they could take care of the sick. And her girls were said to be tireless workers, even going up to the shacks and cabins of ill men to offer what care they could. It is said that she was so busy that she went long periods of time without eating or changing her clothes. Some of this story is true, but the details have been spun as the story was passed down. The epidemic waned, but the hard work and poor eating habits affected her. The once robust Molly had lost weight and was sickly. She didn't have her usual energy. By October of the next year, Molly had fevers and a cough. She tried to keep her humor up, but her friends could tell that she was seriously ill. By the next month, she was bedridden. The doctor confirmed that she had tuberculosis. Many of the town women, ladies who in most western towns would hardly say hello to a woman of Molly's profession, stayed by her bedside to comfort her. She was a fallen woman, but she was a friend. O'Rourke visited often, too. Molly continued to get worse. On January 17th, 1888, Maggie Hall was dead. In honor of her life, every curtain was closed, every blind was drawn, and the doors of the gambling parlors and drinking establishments were closed. Even the mines and sluice boxes closed. Thousands of people came to pay their respects to the tall, perky Irish lady. The stone marker on her grave reads, "Sacred to the memory of Maggie Hall, Molly be damned. Died at Murray, January 17th, 1888, at 35 years old." She was really just 34, so the inscription is off a year. For those interested, every August, Murray, Idaho hosts an annual city celebration called the Molly Be Damned Gold Rush Days. Google Molly Be Damned Gold Rush Days for more info. All right, well, that was pretty good. Molly Be Damned. But remember, this is rated PG. It may be inappropriate for younger children, okay? So, use your discretion. But anyway, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you back soon.